everyone, and this is a second version of a video I did a few years ago. Just going to jump right into it. What we're doing is we're talking about the end part of Dream Police, a section of that amazing song that has beguiled many guitar players. I believe that you have found the best video on YouTube about how to play this part of the song. I really think that I got it right. The fretting and the string choice might change, but I think I got the notes right, and that's the important part. We're going to jump right into it, and then I'll have some closing remarks at the end. So we're talking about the part that after the guitar solo, then there's a brief bit of, I guess it's the bridge of the song. The song's in the key of E, by the way. So those men inside my brain is where we're going to start. So it's those men inside my brain, and then that's a B chord in the first part of the song. But now it begins an ascending run that starts from a B chord, and there's a B in the bass. Strings come in. It's very lavish production, and the guitar is playing what sounds to me like a fifth and third kind of thing, which I play with my pick and my middle finger, but you could also probably just strum it and mute that G string. But basically we're on the 4th fret and on the D string and the B string with the G string muted, so it's an F sharp and a D sharp. And we're just going to play this pattern 4 times up. I think it's a bar. Yeah, it's a bar for each. So it's a bar of B. So B, C, C sharp, D. Then it just continues up chromatically. At this point I actually change strings, but you don't have to, but I do because it just makes it easier. So again we do a bar of each of those. Then I switch to the 3rd fret, so that's an A sharp and a G, B flat, I guess. Yep. And you just continue that pattern all the way up to the 14th fret. At this point it's half notes then for those 4, and then the rest are quarter notes. You should end up on the 14th fret, which is an A and an F sharp. So that's that. Really pretty easy. And then we get into the fun part. This is the ominous sounding orchestral part. It's deceptively simple. It sounds like, when I first tried to figure this out, it sounds almost random, but it turns out, because it's Rick Nielsen who's a genius, it's actually immaculately composed and completely pattern based and way easier than it sounds. So you really only need to know 3 patterns, and then it's just a matter of knowing when and where to play them. And one of them isn't even really a pattern; it's just an octave. So I'm down with this part now starts on the F sharp 2nd fret, so that's where I am. And so the octave is your friend here. The 2nd fret of the low E string, 4th fret of the D string, so F sharp. And so you're going to need to know the octave. The octave is sort of a bridge between. There's groupings of half notes of a couple of different patterns I'm going to show you, and you move them up the neck, and the octaves are the bridges between those sections. You'll see what I mean in a second. So we're going to start. That's the first thing you know is the octave. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Second part you want to know is this thing I call the diminished or tritone pattern. So it's pattern A, and it's that octave, and you just plant your middle string on the C right in the middle on the 3rd fret of the A string, the 5th string. So that's it's kind of dissonant sounding. That's the tritone. That's where the dread and sense of dread and ominousness come from. The evil sound that we so much enjoy sometimes in rock music. So that's the tritone pattern. Just those 3 notes. And the other pattern you need to know is this one, which I call the major 7th pattern, which is achieved by you just take your first 2 fingers from that tritone pattern and you switch them. So I'm going to move my first finger from the E string to the 2nd fret of the A string, 5th string, and I'm going to move my 2nd finger, which is going to keep it on the 3rd fret, but move it down to the E string. So my notes are G, B, and F sharp, which are essentially I call it a major 7th pattern because it's the 1st, 3rd, major 7th of a G major 7th chord. So again, you have your tritone pattern, F sharp, C, F sharp, your major 7th pattern, G, B, F sharp. Those 2 plus the octave are the key to the entire section. So the first part starts with the tritone pattern on F sharp, and you pick it like this. again, this is my picking style. If you're inclined to do all downs, I guess you could. I think you get the best phrasing by doing it down, down, up, down, up, down. So you do one of those and switch to that major 7 pattern with your starting on the G. You can hear it starting to form already. Then we're going to do an octave on the G sharp, so 4th fret and 6th fret of the D string. Then we're going to slide up to the 7th fret and do the same on the B. So again, it's now we're ready to start our patterns again, but now we're going to start on the 8th fret, the C on the E string. And again, we're going to do an octave, so put your 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the D string and plant that middle finger right in the middle on the tritone on the 9th fret of the A string. So that's a notice that's an F sharp. So C, F sharp, C. Okay, and do that picking pattern again, and again just switch the 2 fingers to form the major 7 pattern, starting on the 9th fret, the C sharp. All right, now we're going to do the octave again. At this point, I like to switch strings, but you could do the D octave here. I like to go here because we're going to continue on our way up, and I like to leave myself a little room. So you're going to do an octave on the D, so 5th fret of the A string and 7th fret of the G string. And you're going to do the same thing, 1 fret up on the E flat, so 8th fret and, 6th fret and 8th fret. And then we're going to do the diminished pattern, the tritone pattern, starting on the E, the 7th fret of the A string. Now a little change up. Instead of switching to the major 7, we're going to keep that tritone pattern, but slide it up 3 frets. So you're starting on the G, the 10th fret of the A string. Okay? And then we're going to go do our octave pattern starting on the 11th fret. So we're doing this is a G sharp and the 13th fret on the G string. You're going to slide it up 1. And instead of now landing on the tritone pattern, we're actually going to switch fingers and start with the major 7 pattern on the 13th fret of the A string. So that's a B flat or A sharp. But now we're going to switch back to the tritone pattern starting on the A, the 12th fret of the A string. And switch it back. And 2 more times. And that's it. And then you hit the big E chord on the end, which is the resolution of all that tension and drama back into the main part of the song. So let's go through the whole thing slowly, starting on the low F sharp on the 2nd fret, tritone pattern, major 7th pattern starting on the G, G sharp octave, B octave, C tritone pattern, C sharp major 7 pattern, D octave, D sharp octave, E tritone pattern, G tritone pattern, G sharp octave, A octave, A sharp major 7, G tritone, switch it back. Yep. One more. And then the big heroic E. Some more to tempo, it goes like this. Play it that well that time. You can play it better. But that's it. That's it. Mystery solved. Achievement unlocked. Now you can play Dream Police. So I was moved to make this video because I got I got a couple of really nice comments on my earlier version that was frankly crap. I mean, it showed the same thing, but it was a terrible quality video. And I was listening to Rick Nielsen and Robin Zander were interviewed on Howard Stern, and I heard Rick talking about Dream Police and how this section of the song eluded some of his most famous and accomplished guitarist friends who were always asking him how to play it. And I'm driving along my car listening to this going like, I know, I can show everybody. Yeah, so I really think that I got this one. I mean, I worked really hard on it. I actually transposed it for a keyboardist when we were working on it for a performance, and it's just such an awesome, just unbelievably thoughtful and awesomely composed section of a great rock song that's just made greater by this one section. I've always loved the song. I especially always loved that section. I thought, boy, it'd be great to be able to play that one day when I was a kid. And now I'm a grown-ass man, and my ear got a little better. I lived under headphones a little while with this, basically emulating the strings. And if you listen really carefully on the studio recording, the guitar is also there mimicking the strings. And I've seen Cheap Trick live a bunch of times, and Rick doesn't really play what I just played because, live, they're the greatest live band on earth, and he's more concerned with like blowing your mind. So he uses that section to basically throw tons of picks out in the audience, and he sort of whiffs on the power chords and implies what's happening. I mean, there's some hints of the tritone, but he slops it up on purpose because he's just killing it. But I can tell in the studio that there was a lot more care taken. So anyway, my name's John. I really hope that this helped you. If you've been struggling, you need to play this song in your band and been struggling, and I hope you get to bring this back to your bandmates and show them you can do this and impress the hell out of them. I must say, I think I impressed my bandmates when I had cracked the code on this and showed it to them. I don't know. They didn't act all that impressed, but I think secretly, deep down, they were. It's a proud accomplishment of mine. Okay, I think I got bragging rights on this one, so I'm going to take them. I don't often get them. Anyway, my name is John. Hope you enjoyed my little video, and Godspeed, and Cheap Trick forever.